welcome to Podtoid. I'm CJ.
I'm Dan.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Occams.
And this is episode 467. Thank you for joining us today. We have a good show planned. We're going to be talking about some Xbox Series S, Streets of Rage 4, and a little bit later in the show, we're going to be looking at those rumors that Microsoft is wanting to buy a Japanese studio. But before that, Occams, welcome back. How was your week off?
Oh, fine. Thanks for asking.
Oh, yeah. Always want to check in on y'all. Anyways, Dan, I just want to check because you're Canadian. You didn't make any prank phone calls to the police on Friday, did you?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I was not that mad about Assassin's Creed.
Okay. What about Watch Dogs?
You know, it could get to that point, though. As a gamer, I may get very upset enough to possibly get up to some shenanigans.
Yeah, like a flaming bag of poop maybe on their doorstep.
Exactly, yeah.
Glad that turned out to be nothing.
Ubisoft is here in Winnipeg. They have a Winnipeg location. I could very well go do the flaming bag of poop meme. Could be our next thumbnail.
What do they make at Ubisoft Winnipeg?
I think for now they're just a support studio, so they're probably helping out with insert upcoming Assassin's Creed title or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's like what half of Ubisoft studios are. They're just supporting
pretty
the
much
studios.
Like all of these new Assassin's Creed games are made by like 18 studios,
or they're Just Dance titles that have like 9 different Ubisoft locations as their on their marquee. Yeah. Glad that turned out to be nothing. I imagine it might have been scary, if they knew what was going on inside of what we were thinking, what was going on the outside. So this is just a reminder that don't swat people. It's not cool. It's not a good thing to do. Before we get into the show, we have a lot of stories, a lot of good stories today to choose from, and I had a tough time picking the one to go with, but I think this one will work. So we're gonna actually start this episode with another installment of Crap Criminals. You've been hit by crap. And for this story, we're going to go to Georgia, which in a few weeks we'll get to decide whether or not anything will happen in America for the next 2 years. It was in the city of Rockmart, where FBI agent Kimberly Ragsdale was on assignment, and she got hungry, so she decided to stop for some lunch. And when you're in the South, the only place you go for lunch is Chick-fil-A, so that's where she went. Went to the local Chick-fil-A restaurant looking for a tasty chicken sandwich, got up to the counter, and demanded that they give her free food because she's a member of the FBI. And when they refused her repeated requests throughout the week, she told employees she was going to start arresting them for not giving them free food. As should be clear by now, Kimberly Ragsdale is not actually a member of the FBI. She just thought for some fucking reason this would be the perfect way to get some free fast food, to show up in your white minivan throughout the week demanding free chicken sandwiches. On her last attempt, police were called, and rather than flee the scene like any normal person would, she tried to convince the arriving officers that no, she totally is a member of the FBI. It's just that all of her credentials are electronic. Best part of the story right here, as officers placed her into handcuffs, according to their report, she began to talk into her shirt as if she were talking into a radio, telling someone to come get her out of jail.
I'm going to take a guess here.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of drugs were involved as well.
I have to imagine. If anything, she deserves credit for not breaking character. I mean, to not just give up when the cuffs are placed on you, but to make it seem like you're wearing a wire. God bless her.
It's brilliant stuff.
It really
Probably
is.
just felt like backed into a corner and sort of had to commit by that point.
Pretty much.
She's a real method actor.
Please humor a European here, but is Chick-fil-A, is it that good?
A lot of people think it's the best chicken sandwich in America. They pretty much, I think they do exclusively chicken sandwiches. Like they don't have hamburger or anything like that. They are good. I don't think they're like worth getting arrested for good. I personally like the chicken sandwich at Wendy's better than that. And really the only chicken sandwich worth getting arrested for is the Popeyes chicken sandwich. But they are good. I prefer they have the they do waffle cut fries there, and I really like that. I love waffle cut fries.
Nah,
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into debate about fries, but I'd say waffle fries are like a solid F grade for me. I'm just a fan of the classic French fry.
I love the classic French fry, but it's very rare to find anyone that has waffle cut fries that are deep fried. Like if I have them cooked from the oven, I don't like them because they don't have any crisp in them. They're always just soft and soggy. But like getting them deep fried, I'll take it. They're pretty good. I like them better than curly fries. I hate curly fries.
Here I was just about to stand curly fries, but fucking whatever. Cajun curly fries are great.
No.
Bad tates on this podcast.
Every time I go to a fast food restaurant that has both regular fries and curly fries sneaks its way into my regular fries. It basically ruins the whole meal for me.
Damn.
It's like going to Subway and then just somehow getting a single onion onto that sandwich just completely ruins the taste. Occams, you a curly fry person?
I like curly fries. Okay. I like the steak fries. They're quite popular.
Steak fries are good. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Maybe that's just something we can all agree on. I mean, we seem to come from different sort of backgrounds with regards to our fry preferences, but everybody loves the steak cut fry.
Yeah. I do have to ask Charlotte, because you're European, do you do mayonnaise on fries?
Oh yeah. I mean I think that's traditionally a Belgian thing or a Dutch thing, like that they really, one of the two of them, in my European different country blindness, I can't remember which one, but one of them absolutely heckin' loves some mayonnaise on fries, and I do too. Pretty damn good.
Nope. Only like mayonnaise on a chicken sandwich. Cannot understand it on anything else. And I think it is Belgian, because I remember I used to live in a place that literally they just had a Belgian fry restaurant, like this little storefront that just sold Belgian fries. You got them in a cone, a paper cone, and they just topped it with mayonnaise.
Yep, we get fries like that a lot here in Germany, and I don't understand that serving method, because you just end up with a bunch of like mayonnaise right at the bottom of the cone and a load of chips, European chips, not fries, at the bottom that you can't get out. It's a mess. Like it's not an optimal way of eating your fries. How do we get onto this subject? And I think though we can all agree that fries aren't worth pretending you're the FBI and getting arrested. Am I right, or am I wrong?
You're right. Ragsdale was arrested for impersonating a law enforcement officer. She is out on bond. No word on what branch of the government she's going to pretend to be to get out of the court case. Thought that was a good story to start the show off with, but let's go ahead and get talking about games. And Dan, you've been playing one of my 5 favorite games of this year. Why don't you tell us about Streets of Rage 4?
Yeah, Streets of Rage 4 is fucking fantastic. Like right off the bat, the soundtrack for this game, they brought back the original composer. I'm going to probably butcher this name, but Yuzo Koshiro, I believe. Once again, I apologize for butchering the name.
I believe it's pronounced Mike Smith. Yeah, no, you really butchered that name.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the soundtrack for this game right off the bat is fucking awesome. I need to find this soundtrack on vinyl at some point when I have money again after buying these new consoles. But yeah, no, I really enjoy it. I also enjoy some of the new mechanics, like the risk reward of using special moves and then regaining your health with combos afterwards. I think that mechanic is great. It allowed me to really do some real risky stuff on boss fights and such. And yeah, previously you just lose your health. So being able to gain that back through combos is just awesome. I've had moments where I spammed specials until almost all my health was gone. Did a real good combo on a boss and mostly got all my health back.
Nice.
And just little things like that can really turn a boss fight that normally takes a few minutes into matter of seconds. So I really want to see speedruns of this game now, because I imagine those boss fights are going to be toast. But
yeah.
Overall, the game, good length, 2-3 hours, longer than the other games. But I think the only complaint I have with it, I think Mr. and Mrs. Y aren't as compelling as Mr. X, or as I don't know. There's something about Mr. X and his dumb little throne room. Him sitting on his throne was a little more intriguing to me than just these weird anime ass bad dudes up to no good, and then getting into a mech at the end and then failing that even. In fact, I was playing at the time with my friend, and he guessed that we were going to fight both, and then I guessed that we were going to get into a mech. They did both. We had to fight both of them, and then they got into a mech. So But yeah, overall, I really like the game. Probably going to be in my top 10 if I had to make one this year. It's a good time. I recommend it. Now, that said, where's Altered Beast 2? Like, come on. Altered Beast was obviously the superior franchise. It never got any proper representation or sequel. We'd have the crappy GBA game. We'd have the 2005 PS2 game that nobody likes to talk about. Where's 2? I want to rise from my grave in 4K HDR.
I believe that Altered Beast 2 will never happen, and you're only going to have to live on the re-releases that Sega does every couple of years of shoving Altered Beast onto another console. I have no doubt in my mind they have one coming for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Just one of those compilation discs.
Altered Beast trophies again.
Yeah.
I still have the PlayStation 3 like Sega Greatest Hits collection or whatever that is. Every now and then I pop that into my PS3. Good times.
No other developer puts out as many Greatest Hits collections than Sega. They drop those with regularity on every fucking console they possibly can.
I do appreciate it though. Stuff like Sonic CD, for example, I never was able to play as a kid. Just never had like the CD adapter, whatever the hell it was called.
Yeah.
So my first experience with Sonic CD was the Sonic Gems collection on GameCube. So I appreciate the collections.
As we go further, though, they're going to need to start adding some newer games to that.
No, yeah, I agree. Like there's like a catalog of Dreamcast games that they could put out as a proper collection. They did for the 360, but like that's really maybe about it, I think.
Yeah.
We need to see more of those.
As for Streets of Rage 4, it is easily like the best beat 'em up I've ever played. I think it's far better than anything that's come before it. The fighting game mechanics in it are outstanding, and visually, it is just jaw-dropping. Just it brings a tear to your eye how good this game looks.
Oh yeah, definitely. Imagine if we got Altered Beast though, the 2005 game.
Oh, good God!
Just flogging a dead horse, Dan.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to Charlotte. Charlotte, you've been diving back into PlayStation Now?
Yep. I'm not 100% sure why, but for some reason on Friday night, I felt like getting a free trial of PS Now and giving it a go. I can't remember how, but I have already had a free trial of PS Now, but for some reason I could get one again. I'm not sure why. I can't remember, but for whatever reason, I have a free trial that's running until Friday, and my circumstances were different the last time I tried it because I was living with somewhere with absolutely terrible internet. And now I'm living at somewhere which I've just actually done a speed test, and my internet connection on wired is 92 megabits per second down and 33 up, which is, I would say, very good for Germany. It's not the absolute best you can get, but that's getting up there. I think it's a pretty good internet connection. And previously I was on something like 15 down, 1 up, so it was just really bad. So I've got a bit of a new experience now with PS Now and sort of seeing how it works when you've actually got a stable streaming sort of connection. And you know, the thing is, when I last tested it, you could download games, but obviously if your download speeds are lower, you're going to wait longer for them to download, so it's only sort of partially solving the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I tested out PS Now with quite a few games. Like I tried WWE 2K19 and also a little bit of Resident Evil Revelations 2, but the co-op on that is god awful because on the split screen that it's just way too small. You can't see what you're doing. So me and my partner stopped playing that pretty quickly. But the two games that I've tested in some depth is Days Gone and one of the Atelier games. So quite separate sort of species of games.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, I didn't download anything. I just streamed both of these games, and Days Gone looked absolutely not incredible because I'm playing on a PS4 Slim, but, you know, as I would expect if I was just playing it off a disc, like, it was absolutely, you know, solid performance. And Atelier, that is sort of emulating a PS3 game, and as you would expect, there wasn't really any major problems there either. I would say maybe a couple of the issues with PS Now is that on occasion when you load a game, you have to do it a couple of times for it to start. Like, the connection does seem a little bit wobbly to sort of like establish the connection with a game. But once you've established that connection, I didn't experience any suddenly being thrown off the service or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you just got to be aware it warns you plenty about this. But if you do leave the game idle, it just throws you out of PS Now. And yeah, if you've not saved, then you lose your progress. Like, they warn you about it plenty, but it's just something you've got to get used to, that don't leave your PlayStation 4 just sat running.
Right.
So I'd say, as regards game choice, it's got a very good choice. It obviously depends on what you like, but like I say, Days Gone's on there for the next 50 days. They've got a few of the Resident Evil titles, like some of the less popular Resident Evil titles. Rage 2's on there. Dishonored 2's on there. They've got some PS3 and PS2 titles, like they've got Red Dead Redemption. So they've got a pretty good choice, I'd say. And actually, I think as a service that you might like dip in and out of, especially if you're like me and you like to try games out for an hour or so before you decide whether to commit to playing the whole thing, I think this is a really good service. And I'd say you can definitely get more value for money out of it than something like Netflix. I think there's enough choice in there that I'd say if subscribing a month here and a month there, or maybe for a few months until you realize you're not using it as much as you were before, I think is a perfectly good investment. So I was really impressed with PS now that I can actually use it properly. If you've got bad internet, or I'd say potentially even just average internet, I don't think it's worth it because of the problems of not being able to stream and not being able to download. But you can do sort of a test to see whether your internet is strong enough to stream. And I'd say if you're getting a positive result back from that test, then it's definitely worth a try. It's a pretty solid service at this point, and it's not as expensive as it was before either. I think it's, oh God, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's definitely got cheaper. So I am impressed.
Yeah, I think if like Game Pass continues to be as successful as it is, and Xbox is actually pushing out a large amount of consoles, it wouldn't surprise me if PlayStation basically just take PlayStation Now and keep the streaming features, but also start adding options to download games and subscribe to it as a service. Like, I've got a good feeling that's going to be their answer to Game Pass in the next long while.
I believe you can download games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
Not all of them, but some of them. I don't know if it's to do with the license agreement that they've got with the publisher, but some fairly big titles like Days Gone, you can download it.
Oh, wow.
But actually, you might not want to download it because if you're streaming, then it's not taking up space on your PlayStation. So if you can stream it, it might actually be a better solution for you, because I have this constant problem. Like, we've got 2 PS4s in our household right now, and my boyfriend's PS4 is a 500 gigabyte one. And if that's the one that we've got plugged in at the time, it's like that's barely any space at all. We've constantly got to delete stuff and like decide what to keep and what to get rid of. So streaming is actually a pretty good solution for that if the quality's good enough.
I've always been interested to see how streaming would work on my internet, because I don't have great internet here, despite living in California, where you think that we'd have the best internet. No, not here. Because it's only like 30 down and 9 up. So yeah, but I haven't want to try. Maybe I'll do a trial run with PS Now to see how it works. I've been waiting to try and get into the beta for Amazon Luna, because I think that would be I would like to learn or to try that, but I haven't been able to get in, so it hasn't really worked out that way.
Yeah, I'm super curious about PlayStation Now. I like I said, I think it has the potential to at least rival Game Pass someday, and I think if they add the option for both streaming and the ability to download those games on the service as a subscription, that'll be a huge thing, I think.
I think it's going to come down to whether or not PlayStation wants to put its new games on the service as much as Microsoft does. Charlotte, when you said that Days Gone was on there, I was surprised because that's a newer PlayStation title, and at last time I checked, they still didn't have like Spider-Man on there. They didn't have God of War on there. They obviously didn't have any of their releases from this year on there. So hearing that Days Gone was on there surprised me.
To be fair, Days Gone is kind of the ugly duckling of their major first-party titles that have come out over the past 2 years.
That's true. I know a couple of people who absolutely love the bones of that game, and I can see why, having played a couple of hours of it. But it is a big title, and like my impression of PS Now maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago when I last tried it, was that it did have some interesting stuff on it, but it was interesting for me because I have all these gaps in my history to fill because I didn't get a PlayStation 3 till 2015.
Yeah.
So that's why it was interesting for me back then. And now there's like more modern stuff on there. I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? This is actually potentially a really good service to rival whatever Xbox is, providing and all of the streaming services that are coming out. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on PS Now and maybe give it a try if you haven't already.
I definitely want to do that because there's a huge part of me that just wants to unplug my PS3 already and put it away, just to free up room.
Oh, and it has Altered Beast.
Yeah, hey, you sold me.
Well, speaking of game subscription services, the biggest thing that happened this week was the release of the 2 next-gen consoles. The PlayStation 5 released on Thursday, Xbox Series X released on Tuesday, and for my first purchase of the new gen, I went with the Xbox Series S and immediately subscribed to Game Pass, I should say. I've never owned an Xbox before. In fact, Destructoid news editor Brett McDonsky pointed out that I bought it into the new generation Xbox before he did, which is not something any of us thought would happen. I wrote a story on this a few weeks ago about how the size and the price of the Xbox Series S, along with Games Pass and how it's expanded, it would be the perfect way for me to get into the Xbox brand. I don't really care about 4K gaming as a necessity, so I just wanted access to all of those Game Pass titles and those old Xbox 360 games that I missed because my roommate in college who had an Xbox 360 pretty much played Halo and Call of Duty exclusively. So I didn't get to experience something like Alan Wake or Viva Pinata. Now, not all the games I want to play are on the service, but they could be added. It's like PlayStation Now, titles get added and taken away. But I got my Series S on launch day, thank goodness, and it is one sexy small console. In terms of aesthetics for the new generation, I think Microsoft pretty much handedly beats PlayStation in the looks of their new consoles because they're so basic in design that they basically go with anything. Whereas the PlayStation 5 looks like you have to have, like, in order for it to go with your furniture, you would have to decorate your living room to look like the Starship Enterprise. That's how it would fit in.
You'd have to look like one of those like goth cyberpunk kids or whatever dance under a bridge. You have to have that aesthetic all over your house.
There is something glowing has to be around it. That's the only way it would fit in. Just something that's glowing, whether it's day or night. After getting it set up and putting it in my TV stand next to my Wii U, the Series S immediately identified everything about my television, and it knew more about my TV than I did. I don't know if this is if this was a feature on the Xbox One as well. It's obviously on the Xbox Series X, but like you plug it in, you attach it to your television, and it immediately runs like a diagnostics to let you know what it is you can do with your television versus what you can do with your television with this new console. So like my TV is a 4K UHD 60 hertz TV, which means I can't do 120 frames per second because it's not 120 hertz. So I'm a little disappointed that I won't be able to see whatever the fuck that looks like. But it turned on everything else to output in 4K when possible, to make sure that my when I watch stream movies and TV shows on like HBO Max or Netflix, that it's the best it can be. It just set it all up, so I really didn't have to worry about it, and I didn't have to go into my TV to do it, which is very annoying because it's not super clear on your TV on how you set up UHD and stuff like that. I also found that because of my slow internet speeds, I can't stream from my phone or from my console to my phone. But besides that, I'm probably going to get a lot out of these games, and so I downloaded a few Game Pass titles already. I downloaded Disneyland Adventures, I downloaded Carry On, and I downloaded Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which are kind of 3 good titles to show off like the differences on what you can expect playing a game on these next gen systems, the backwards compatibility. Like for Disneyland Adventures, which the only reason I downloaded it is because we were supposed to have a Disney World vacation this year. We couldn't go, so I just kind of, I don't know why. I'm like a child. Anyways, like it doesn't really look all that much better than what I've seen videos on the Xbox One. There's a lot of popping on the visuals when I'm running around the Magic Kingdom. Load times might be better, but I don't really have a base for comparison on that. And then for Carry On, which is now also one of my 5 favorite games of the year. God damn, Occams, you have to play this title. I will buy it for you just to get you to play it.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, if you've ever wanted to be a monster that eats people for a game, this is exactly what you need to play.
For decades now.
Yeah. It uses the quick restart feature, which is just blazing fast. Like the console doesn't start up all that fast by itself, or at least not as fast as I thought it would. But like the quick restart feature just gets you right into the game. It reminds me of the save states on the Virtual Console eShop titles for the 3DS. And then finally, there's Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which does have some Xbox Series S enhancements. I'm playing in 4K right now with 60 frames per second, and the high fidelity audio is just killing it with my soundbar. I'm gonna have to upgrade my television soon, and then I'm also gonna have to upgrade my audio system because, like, god damn, the music and the sounds coming out of that speaker are just so lovely, so wonderful. Must have them. When I'm running all of these games, no matter which one, the console is whisper quiet. It is not making a sound. You know, it's a great little console, and the size is really small. But at the same time, I don't think I've been this unenthusiastic about a new gaming device since I bought the Steam Link, which I've never used. And I think I can attribute that to, one, like my age. Getting a game console at 35 is not the same as getting a console at 15. So that's one thing. But another part of it is, like, what am I supposed to be playing here? Because over the next week, we're going to see a lot of videos and gameplay snippets from Spider-Man Miles Morales, Demon Souls, that Astro Bot game, and then after that, it's going to be a lot of videos from Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. But for Xbox, there's really nothing to talk about with people outside of old games that you've already talked about, and, like, I guess Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but I'm not going to play that.
Well, that's on PS5 as well. It's third party, so.
Yeah, and I think not having one big exclusive is kind of going to eliminate the chatter online.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this. That was supposed to be Halo.
Yeah.
That Halo delay was a bummer.
Yeah, and it's not that and you know, it'll probably hurt console sales. It doesn't hurt the console. The consoles themselves are fantastic. It's just that, you know, gaming is more social than it has ever been, and one of the reasons it's more social is that, you know, we could all be playing the same title and talking about it, and everyone can take part of it. But those titles usually, I mean, it's games that release and everyone plays it. Not here's a back catalog of stuff. Try and drum up a conversation around it. I like Game Pass. There is a wonderful selection of titles on there, especially with all the EA games that are now on there from EA Play. All of the Bethesda titles that they put on there, since they're buying Bethesda. It's a great service. I think it's a little overpriced at $15 a month when you add in the Xbox Gold or Xbox Live. But also, I don't think Xbox Live should be a thing anyways. I don't think if you have I don't think paying for online games anyways. But it's kind of like there's no one title right now that for all Xbox owners to kind of gravitate toward. We're all just kind of just going in our own directions and hoping that, you know, we can maybe drum up a conversation about whatever title it is we are playing. It's probably the least exciting launch lineup since the Nintendo 3DS, and it's probably not going to change for some time. I mean, we have Cyberpunk next month, knock on wood. But next gen enhancements for Cyberpunk are like still a few months away.
Yeah, but to be fair, if you're going to be playing on probably like Series X or PS5, you'll at least have a stable frame rate, I assume. So that'll be something, I guess.
Yeah, you'll have your, from what I've seen, most games now, you know, it's the choice between the performance mode and the graphics mode. 60 frames per second in this, or 30 frames per second in that.
But no, yeah, as someone who has a Series X out for delivery right now by Amazon, the thing I'm most excited to play on it is Fable 2. So,
and I'm most excited to play Alan Wake because that's one like I own it. I own it for Steam, but I don't own anything that can run it because I don't have a PC. So it's it's on there. Unfortunately, American Nightmare isn't on there, which is, or maybe it is. I have to check again. Which is, if it's not, it's disappointing. But if it is, then yay! And Forza 4 is something I want to play as well. That Fallen Jedi game that came out last year, I want to play that as well. But I don't know if I'm really going to be super satisfied with Xbox brand until we start getting those new titles in.
yeah, no, but it's the hope for the long term. The promise of Bethesda games now possibly knowing they're gonna know exclusive. Like if they weren't going to know exclusive, they would have said so by now. That's kind of my belief on that. So
I've seen people keep the hope alive that they're going to release, oh, but don't worry, Elder Scrolls will definitely release on PlayStation 5. And I'm like, no, it won't. It's
that'll
not gonna
absolutely
happen.
be one of their big marquee exclusives going forward.
Yeah. I just hate the idea that possibly the first big game for the Xbox series of consoles is going to be Halo Infinite, because all signs point to that game being like a year away.
Yeah.
Like maybe if COVID didn't happen, I imagine it probably still would have been delayed. But they could probably get it fixed in 6 months or so. But with COVID, no, it's at earliest.
Bethesda's Starfield maybe could be coming out next year. Maybe. It's been a while since Bethesda put something out, and Starfield is their next big game. So they've been teasing it. So it wouldn't surprise me if they made some sort of big announcement around that. So.
Well, Bethesda's next two big games are Deathloop, exclusive for the PlayStation 5, and Ghostwire Tokyo, exclusive for the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So they have games coming out.
They have to honor that stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean with Starfield being the next big Xbox name, I think.
I hate to be a buzzkill, but do I hate to be a buzzkill? No, I love being a buzzkill. So Europe, from what I gather, we're getting stuff a week behind you guys.
Yes.
I haven't bought or pre-ordered anything. And the problem I'm having right now is I feel like I've been sat in this really amazing sort of buffet restaurant where the food is like top quality. Like this is in the world of imagination right now. And I've been stuffing myself. And I'm trying to cram just one more piece of this exquisite sushi into my mouth. And it's like, I really want to eat this sushi, but I've just eaten so much already. And it's like, I'm at this point now where it's an amazing time for me because I love the end of Generations, because you've just got all this stuff to catch up on that you couldn't manage at the time. Yeah. And it's just a time to sort of get stuff really cheap and just go through all the stuff that you missed. But it's like, I just feel like there's just so many games at the moment, so much in the past that I missed and so much coming out that I just can't possibly play anything. And then I'm questioning whether I should even get the new ones because I've got all this stuff to catch up on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you have all the things to gain by waiting. You will avoid the possible technical problems that are coming in the next few months, I imagine. You do avoid a lot of bullshit if you just wait.
Yeah, it's like with anything. It's like also with like new operating system releases, you're usually best waiting a few months for the bugs to get ironed out, I guess.
Plus, any of the launch titles that you're interested in will be cheaper when you eventually do buy into the ecosystem. So.
And buying stuff cheap is not always the right thing. I mean, I'm encouraging myself to buy more stuff release day so I can support developers where the support is due. But at the same time, we all only have a certain amount of disposable income and disposable time. And it's like, that's the feeling right now. There's just too much demanding my time and too much demanding my money, which is why the end of Generations is always a really nice time for me, I think.
Yeah. I will agree that old games, or not even old games, like maybe ones that are just 1 or 2 years old that you haven't gotten around to, are really enticing right now. For the past month, I've been diving into Marvel's Spider-Man, and I'm just wondering, why the hell did I wait so long to play this game? Like, I demoed it at E3, and I'm like, okay. And mind you, I demoed it at E3 before I had played Arkham Asylum, so I didn't really have a good mental grasp of how the combat worked, probably compared to all the other people who were demoing it, because it's very much like the Arkham game. But I remember I originally bought it and I played. I ended up playing 2% of the story, and then I put it down. I'm like, oh, well, I'll come back to this. And then I've just been playing it for the past 3 weeks, testing out those headphones I reviewed over the weekend. And it's just like, why didn't I play this? What the fuck, CJ? More important, why do I play any other games besides this? This is too much fun. What? Why do I bother with any other game but Spider-Man? I'm just like J. Jonah Jameson. Instead of bring me Spider-Man pictures, bring me Spider-Man games. Of course, then I remember all of the terrible Activision titles that drove me away from playing Spider-Man games. But goddamn, Insomniac killed it with this one. And I have Miles Morales for the PlayStation 4 coming from GameFly next week. So I'm just like, yeah, why did I wait? And why do I not just play Spider-Man games exclusively?
Yeah, I've yet to play that game, and I'm very excited to dive into the remaster on PS5 and then, ultimately Miles Morales.
Do not play the PlayStation 4 version. Go straight into the remastered because...
Yeah, this is coming from somebody who actually owns the PS4 version. It's in the saran wrap on my shelf. So, yeah, rip.
Do not play it because it's going to be difficult for me to get used to babyface Spider-Man in the new games. Like,
yeah, I've seen the comparisons. Hopefully I'll get more used to the new one and then just pretend that the other one never happened.
Like Yuri Lowenthal, who is the voice of Peter Parker, was the motion capture, facial recognition or facial motion capture for Peter Parker in the game. And he was in his 40s when he was doing it, but Spider-Man looks like he's in his 20s. They de-aged him perfectly, and he looks tired because throughout the game he is tired. And then you just go to look at the new Spider-Man, and it just doesn't work. Spider-Man's not supposed to be hot. He's supposed to be the nerd who gets the girl, not the model who gets the girl. What's the fucking fun in that? He looks like a twink from one of my movies.
This is Podtoid.
That is it for games, which means it is time for the news.
This is the news.
And this past week, as I said, it was console launch week, so there wasn't really much anything outside of all the fun stuff you can do in Miles Morales and Demon's Souls. Ooh, all that Demon's Souls coverage makes me want to play that game, even though I've never beat one of those From Software titles. But there were some stories talking about, including the do they or don't they rumor of Microsoft purchasing a Japanese development studio. As we're all aware, not too long ago, Microsoft shocked us all when they purchased ZeniMax Media, which gave them control of Bethesda and all the IPs associated with the company. Since then, Microsoft has made it clear that more studio acquisitions are a possibility going forward. And with the company wanting to expand the Xbox brand's reach in Japan and the East Asian market, we've seen stories pointing to Microsoft getting aggressive in their plans to purchase a Japanese studio. Bloomberg reported last week that Xbox reps had met with several Japanese developers, big and small. However, just a few days after that report, Xbox Vice President Phil Spencer went on record saying Microsoft is just looking to expand its relationship with Japanese developers and not necessarily purchase them. You probably remember during the Xbox 360 era, Microsoft published a good handful of Japanese developed games for its console, like Blue Dragon, like Lost Odyssey. It also had games like Eternal Sonata and Infinite Undiscovery published by third-party partners that were either limited time exclusive or permanently exclusive to the Xbox 360 console. Then, for whatever fucking reason, Xbox stopped trying to make those types of partnerships and deals with the Xbox One. Dan, most well-known Japanese game publishers are publicly owned, so it's unlikely Microsoft would purchase them. But do you think there is a developer out there that would benefit from being under the Microsoft umbrella?
It's tough to say. I'd say maybe. Obviously, they're going to benefit financially. Once you're basically owned by Microsoft, you don't have to worry about a lot of you don't have to worry about layoffs, stuff like that. It's a multi-billion-dollar monstrosity. So there's financial reasons to be happy about, but I don't think I could name a single developer that I'd be stoked to see go to Xbox exclusively.
Yeah, I definitely think like what Phil Spencer said with the expanding partnerships and relationships is probably the best thing because, they're not going to buy Square Enix, but they could pay Square Enix to give them an exclusive game the same way that, Final Fantasy 16 is going to be exclusive to PlayStation 5. Partnerships like that, I think would be beneficial. I just wish that these conversations had started like 3 years ago instead of within the past few weeks or months. Just going back to how bad the Series X, Series S launch lineup is. Had these conversations started back in like 2017, we'd probably have a game out from them by now.
To be fair, I can't like fully blame Microsoft. I don't know if you've seen like 360 and Xbox One sales in Japan. They are quite literally in the ballpark of like a few hundred a week, which is bad. So it's rough when you look at some of those sales charts that were coming out of Japan for the 360 days. And that's mostly to blame because of the fact they didn't really support the console all that much. But
they certainly tried harder with the 360 than they ever did with the One.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the One was abysmal over there.
But I think it's that reason with how poorly the 360 still did over there was kind of their reason for being so, I guess, distant on the One. But I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't want to see, like, I couldn't name a specific developer that I'd want to see go exclusive to Xbox personally. But I could totally see the financial reasons for it and being happy about that and just having that safety net, I guess.
Just get Compile hard on there. Get all those Neptunia games exclusive to Xbox, and just go on to internet,
all the new Neps are going to be Xbox consoles.
Yeah,
they'll be a real limited cast.
Our second story of the week is a quick update on the Mortal Kombat movie. It has been postponed indefinitely. It was announced last week that the film still has some scenes to shoot or reshoot, but with COVID cases skyrocketing in the United States, those reshoots cannot happen. There will not even be a trailer in the meantime, as Todd Garner, one of the film's producers, says they won't have a release date for the film until theaters reopen. Now, while there is a promising vaccine on the horizon for COVID, honestly, we could go the entirety of 2021 without theaters reopening, or because they'll just be out of business. You know, whatever happens first. But this story, when I read it, started to make me think. Obviously, with theaters closed, a lot of people are looking at films and movies being put on demand instead of released into theaters. And while there have been some films to go this route, most notably Trolls World Tour and Mulan, we never really hear about these movies having just giant, massive success. The producers of Wonder Woman 1984, who for some reason picked a Christmas release date for their film when they delayed it, are said to be choosing between a digital release or delaying the film once more. Occams, you love films as much as I do. My question for you is, have you paid to stream any of these movies that were supposed to be released theatrically this year?
No, and I won't. Part of the paying for that ticket is being able to go sit in the theater and have that experience. And I don't. There's no like fear of missing out for me. I can wait for them to come out on Netflix or whatever streaming service, or just even rent them from Redbox. That I'm not sure that's still a thing anymore. But yeah, there's no real urgency for me to see these to pay $30. I can there's a bit of sticker shock, but if you kind of break it down for a family of 4 or 5 or something, you want to go and take the kids and all that about the math works out. But yeah, I have no desire to pay that much to watch a movie at home.
Yeah, I was going to stream that Annabellum movie until I saw that the reviews pointed it being the worst film of the year. So that just put me right off that plan. But like you said, when you say Redbox, which is at least my local Vaughn still has a Redbox. Redbox and Netflix. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone in America, most people in America, have at least one streaming service, and they have continued to provide us with new movies and new TV shows throughout COVID. Obviously, there's going to be a massive drought of new content probably next year with all of the shows shutting down or taking delays to be filmed. But it's, like you said, it's the lack of a theater experience. Without that, I'm kind of fine just watching anything.
An Altered Beast movie would save the theater industry.
Oh, good God.
So this Mortal Kombat movie, is Kylie Minogue back? Like she was in
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. Oh God damn it! Oh God damn it!
Instantly killed any enthusiasm. Nice.
I seriously, in my brain I was like, oh, that one with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Kylie Minogue was Mortal Kombat, and oh God damn it. Okay, now I'm not interested.
Is that Monster Hunter movie still trying to come out to theaters?
I think they're still going with plans to release it in theaters. I think it's going to have a wider release like in China where it's going to make all of its money anyway. And it's probably going to release in like 150 or 200 theaters in the United States, if it even does. 150,000 cases a day does not make a healthy movie-going experience here in the States. So, Dan or Charlotte, have you paid any money for any of these movies that should have released in theaters?
No.
No, but the thing is, I wasn't a big movie goer anyway, but I think the experience is a big thing for me. I like to sit there with my nachos or with my popcorn and watch something on a big screen. And I don't think I would. We can't recreate this at home. Our TV is 32 inches. We desperately need to get a new TV before we even consider getting current gen consoles. So it's like we can't really recreate that experience properly. And I'm not much in a movie mood anyway, unless it's at the theater. I don't really watch movies at home that much. So yeah,
and I'm the person who doesn't even like the movie theater experience and prefers watching a movie at home. And like it really is just like the sticker shock of like paying $30 to see a movie when I know full well it'll be on Netflix in like a year,
or Disney Plus, or
exactly.
I will say, my favorite part of the theater going experience is the excitement of getting a drink that is way too large for a 2-hour movie, drinking it all in the first 15 minutes, and then seeing if you can hold your bladder for the rest of the film. And you just can't recreate that when you can pause everything and go to the restroom, So that's the movie going experience to me.
Hide your remote.
Drinking way too much Coke Zero and seeing if I can hold it.
You are listening to Podtoid.
We are just about out of time, but before we go, Occams, do we have a community shout out this week?
Yeah, we had a slew of birthdays, it would seem. Just a whole bunch. So if it was your birthday this week, shout out to you. Happy birthday, everybody.
Well, happy birthday, everybody who had a birthday. That is it for this episode of Podtoid. On behalf of Charlotte, Dan, Occams, and myself, thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, or the Destructoid YouTube channel.